Okay, there we go. All right, what's going on, y'all? This is Boonie Mayfield with a new episode of Boon Documented, the Chop Up. It's been over a year since I've done one of these, and it's been many years since all of us have been together speaking on some things. So this episode is the Audiopium reunion for the re-release of the Audiopium album. And so I'd like to introduce everybody in the room. So we'll start with people who already know a play cousin, with my play cousin, Jordan Kraft.
Peace up. What's up, everybody? How y'all doing, man? I'm glad that y'all watching. Yes.
and then we got the other duo, Ill University, these two cousins, real cousins. We got iStayJammin.
Yeah, what up, though?
And iStayJammin, I call him Parker a lot. So if if you hear that name come up a lot, then you know what I'm talking about as well. But iStayJammin right there. And then we got Jesse Saturn over here too.
Jesse Saturn, holla, how y'all doing? One half of the ILU squad too, though.
Yes.
There it is.
Yes, sir.
Good by blood. Ain't no saint.
Yes, indeed. So, I guess to start off, the thing is, this month marks 6 years since Audiopium was first released. 6 years. Released it on Black Friday 2014. So that technically means that most of the songs are now either 7 years old or becoming 7 years old.
That's crazy.
Just
time flies, man.
It really does. Real, like, man, 6 years. He said 6 years. I was just like, man, that's a long time.
Right. That is high school, and no, that's middle school and high school.
Right. Real talk.
Real talk. You ain't got to talk about the time so harshly like this right now. So wait till the camera come on to tell us all we owe, by the way.
The thing I have to say is most interesting about Audiopium, about this whole collective, is that still to this day, we have not all been in the same room at the same time.
Facts, though.
Ever.
I think that's the worst thing about it right there. It's not even a bad thing, but it's a bad thing. Like
it's a bad thing. It's like, it's just kind of like
I ain't never even met Jordan.
Yeah,
I know that's real facts.
Right. Yeah, you haven't met in person. Janie hadn't met Jesse yet, like in person either. So me and Parker were working together in person at the beginning of it. And then it was just like, then we were all like all over the place.
But it was scattered. Yeah, we was all scattered.
Yeah, we were always scattered. And then, but I did meet Jesse in person when we finished wrapping up the album in Dallas, which we'll get to when we're, kind of just rehashing everything of how it all came together and stuff. So we'll go ahead and just start with how Audiopium formed, because it was so natural and not forced, and it took some time how it all came together. Basically, it really started at the very, very end of 2010. I'm pretty sure. No, very beginning of 2011. I'm sorry. So It was like January 2011. So it basically first started when I ran into Jordan at a local show in Colorado Springs. I hadn't seen Jordan in about 10 years since then.
Yep.
Like before then,
all these fucking time gaps.
I know. I remember times. I just remember times real well. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it had been like 10 years, because I feel like the last time I saw you, Jordan, didn't you and your mom go to Solid Rock, the same church?
Yep.
That was the last time I saw you. So that was like 2001 or something. So fast forward, it's 2011. I go to this local show and run into Jordan. I'm not too sure if I knew you were performing after I saw you or not. Yeah,
it's funny because you were on a date that night too, and
yes,
that was the homegirl.
Right. Yeah. So it was right at the beginning on this date. I see Jordan. and we're eating, we're just like having fries or something. I'm having a beer, and I'm hearing all these other acts performing. You know, I ain't paying much attention, whatever. But all of a sudden, I hear Jordan. I didn't know it was him at first, but I hear this voice rapping. I'm just like, wait, who's that? I just stopped everything we're doing. I stopped the conversation. I was like, hold on. And I got up. I went over to look on the stage and saw you up there. And I was like, Jordan spitting? Like, okay. Huh. So it was just like, just the tone and the flow, everything. I was just like, okay, we need to connect, like, definitely. So right after you were done, you know, I approached you about, you know, getting together and collaborating on some shit, you know what I'm saying? Yep. So we ended up like linking up. We ended up recording songs like, you know, Remember When.
Yeah, Remember When.
I had Passed the Offering done already, the first verse. That's all I had. I couldn't come up with a second verse, and then I was just like, you should hop on the second verse on this. And
both those joints is fire too. I remember those joints.
I appreciate y'all, man. Hey, those are still bangers, man. Like, it was actually crazy because I haven't listened to myself and I don't know how long.
Man.
So that actually, like, just last week I actually replayed like everything again, just like, you know, top to bottom, and I'm just like, this is kind of crazy right now. Like, nothing but spitters, that it reminds me of that too, because I was actually performing with my family, the fam crew. Right. I was actually performing with them, and it was their show or something like that. I can't remember. So the girl that he was dating we were all good friends. We knew each other outside of of that. So then I seen her there, and then I see Saul, and I'm like, yo, how do you know this guy? And she's like, we on a date. And I was like, nah, bro, that's wild. It was a crazy story.
So we basically formed Play Cousin. We had those two songs in the bag, and then we ended up coming up with Audiopium. At first, I just had the instrumental. Then we ended up writing to it, coming up with the whole Audiopium concept of mixing, you know, the term, like, you know, music with a drug. Like, this go be the new musical drug, you know, like, get high to this shit, you know. So we came up with that song, and then that was it for a while. Like,
so, at least almost like another year or two.
Yeah, it was another year, because basically it was just like we just weren't gonna just force it, you know what I'm saying? Right. And it's like, and by the time we made Audiopium and came up with this concept, like, we're gonna make this album called Audiopium, I wanted it to have its own sound in some way, and I was still trying to find my own sound, you know, in some kind of way. So I didn't want Audiopium to sound too scattered or just like Pass the Offering and Remember When, which is kind of like my version of like Slum Village type of feel or whatever. And so it's just like, I just, you know, I was stuck still, you know, so I just kind of left it alone. Fast forward, like literally a month after I, you know, linked up with you is when me and Janie started dating, like getting to know each other and everything like that. So like all this stuff was just coming together at once, whatever. And so like, by the time it was the end of that year, me and Janie moved into, got that studio suite, you know, at that office building. And started that studio, which is where the Boon Documented episodes started happening and everything. So just right when we got that studio and I set it up and got moved in and everything, I was introduced to iStayJammin. I was about to say Parker. So the way I'm introduced to iStayJammin is through some mutual friends of me and Janie's. They had said that, like, our friend Parker is like, he's like a fan of like Saul, like he's been following his career for a while. And we're like, what? And so we're going to her friend's graduation party, and now it's like, okay, and we're like, we'll bring him a Black Kool-Aid CD. I'll sign the Black Kool-Aid CD, brought it with me. And so when I met him at this buffet, I gave him the CD, you know, got to meet him and everything. So later that night, we all had like a get together at my studio. We're all just hanging out, drinking, just chilling, whatever. And this whole entire time, I don't even know Parker raps. Like I didn't even know.
Yeah, incognito for sure.
No,
and they told me I should show you something too, and I had nothing but whack shit then anyway, so it was like it would have been no reason to show anything.
So all right, so we hanging out at the studio, and that was the time I met him and everything. I got the picture of that night too and everything. So so fast forward later that year, by like near the near. Was it later? Hold on, I'm trying to backtrack because
it probably been like the next year.
It was 2011, 2012.
Yeah, it was. So it was the next year. Yeah, it was pretty much going to 2013 because one of your best friends hit me up, who introduced us, and he was like, "Yo, Parker's about to graduate, for college, and how much can I pay to get him a studio session with you, for as a gift, as a graduation gift?" I was like, "Yeah, definitely." So I was like, "Cool." So he raps. That's dope. That'll be cool. And I remember he's like, "I'm wanting the session to be with just him, but he is part of a band, so I don't know if it's gonna be." So I was like, "All right, cool, no doubt." So we ended up finally having our session, and basically it was like March of 2013. And I was just still in the beginning of phase of working on my first album, Boonie Mayfield Presents Solomon Vaughn. So I remember when you came with your bandmates, like I showed you Haterade was halfway finished.
Yeah.
I showed you that. I showed you Blade Brown. I had that as well. So I showed you those cuts or whatever.
And Haterade was I knew that was instant fire, man. I love that song.
Yeah,
I remember I had to hear it. I had to hear it like 2 or 3 times, like right off the rip.
Yeah, I remember you in love that one. Yeah, so I remember showing you those, and Mile High too, because that was the very first song. So showed you those songs. I ended up co-producing a song that your bandmate had already wrote the chorus to and played the guitar, and you were rapping on it, and we recorded it, all that stuff. So hearing Jammin rap, I could already tell he was dope, but based on the style and sound of that band, I didn't really get to hear where his style really is, where it really shines fully and stuff like that. So I heard him. I was like, this is dope, cool. Fast forward to later, a few months later or so, I'm at the tail end of finishing the album, and Parker was living in another part of Colorado for a while, but he moved
Elizabeth.
back. Yeah, Elizabeth. So you moved back to Colorado Springs, and you hit me up. It's like, yo, I'm back in town, man. Let's link up. So I was like, cool, let's link up. So we just started hanging out, and we're just smoking weed and fucking chilling in the studio all the fucking time. And then we tried. I was trying to do a podcast then, like you know what? Let's try to do a podcast. Yeah, so we recorded a few episodes, and I think that's what really got us bonding and getting to know each other and shit.
That's dope. I actually didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
I remember we did do that.
We got a whole album together and don't even know shit.
Nobody.
I feel like there's gonna since we have not all been in the same room at the same time before, there's gonna be stories and parts that everyone's just hearing for the first time. So yeah, we're vibing off that. And I remember after we recorded one of the episodes of the podcast, he was telling me how he used to download my beats, me and my former partner Kashmir, we used to sell beats on SoundClick. And he said he used to download. And he said he was downloading beats on there and rapping on it. I was like, and that's 2006. So I'm like, what's one of the beats you use? He's like, Stars Come Out. Stars come out. Stars come out. I was like, yo, I think I could pull that up right now. I pulled up the Stars Come Out Reason session and it started playing the beat. And then I was like, do you remember your verse to this shit? And it was like, yeah. And he just started rapping. I was like,
that's dope. Yo, that's hard though.
And it was dope. Like, I was like, yo, that's crazy. That is so crazy. So that, like, we really bonded off that and everything. So, you know, I'm still finishing the album. Like, I'm finishing some mixes and all that stuff. So this is August 2013. This was a turning point because now Parker finally wants to show me something. Now he finally wants to show me. So he was like, yo, I'm working on this project with my cousin, like to all like just Dilla beats, like we're spitting on them and stuff like that. I wanted to show you. I was like, oh, please do. He emailed it to me. I still have the email. It's August 3rd, 2014. I'll be remembering shit. So
Rain Man over here.
2013.
After I came back from a family reunion, I had went out to Virginia for a family reunion. That's when me and Jesse worked on.
Song, that's dope.
And then the
Ups and Downs.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So he showed me She Said, and I played that shit.
She said she wants me. Yeah, she said she loves me. But I don't know. She said she needs me though, can't keep me out of her mind. She sent the invite, the doors unlocked, come inside. When I arrived, she dropped the blouse and fell to her knees. She said, he don't get the cream like you. You've been running through my mind all day. I should get you a podiatrist.
And I'm just sitting there like, this you? Like this y'all, like,
Yeah.
like just like thoroughly impressed. I'm like, yo, what the fuck? This shit is dope. And I stopped it. I was just like, yo, that band you were in, I think it's time for you to just fully transition to this shit. Because he was like, yeah, that's what I'm planning to do. I was like, please do, because this is. I was like, this is dope. Like this, like. I was just loving it already. So I hear this joint. I'm looking forward to hearing the whole project when they get that done. But what happens, we're like chilling in the studio, and I'm like wrapping up the rest of the track list. And I asked Parker, I was just like, yo, I got these two songs I'm trying to decide of which to finish. So I played him the rough draft. So I'm like, which one should I do? And he's like, Canada Damn. Girl, you stop traffic, walking through the city. Old man crashing in the Cadillac doors. Plenty fish in the sea, a lot of them pretty. But not an lady quite had it like yours. I feel the same way too. And I had the chorus, the beat, all that's done. But I was like, but I can't write to it. Like, I made this shit like 3-4 months ago. I can't come up with nothing. And then all of a sudden, a light bulb. I was like, yo, do you think you and your cousin might want to hop on this shit? And it's like, yeah, we be down. I was like, okay, see what y'all come up with. So they ended up recording. Did you record your verse with me, or did you record it yourself?
I recorded it with you.
Okay, so you recorded it with me, and then Jesse sent his vocals in, and it was just perfect. As soon as it was laid out, I was able to write my verse. Like, it got me inspired and fired up. Like, okay, now I know how I can write this. And that was our first collaboration, was Canada Damn. So that came together.
That's hard.
You know, I was still, just mixing the rest of the album with JD. And Audiopium is basically forming without us, like, realizing it yet. So this leads to the first official song that starts the Audiopium project without us knowing. And that was Old Niggas, New Niggas. This is still in the same month. This is in August 2013. What y'all might not know, what Parker knows for sure, is like, what inspired Old Niggas, New Niggas was Kendrick Lamar's Control verse had just dropped. And I was loving it. I loved and appreciated the verse. I loved it even more because it was coming from someone from the newer, younger generation, instead of it being some old get off my lawn MC going at the new guys or some, disgruntled underground hip hop purists, which we're used to. So it's just like, I was like, yo, that shit was dope, right? So here I am, I'm at this local hip hop event and I see a few rappers, but some that Jordan, as well, that are from the local scene that some of us came up with that were older than us, so that when I came up fresh out of high school and stuff. So I see them, we're like, yo, what's up, man, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, what y'all think about that Kendrick verse? And all three of them were like, oh, I was like, wait, coming from the hip hop purists, like I know that care about lyricism, all that, like it was just some straight hip hop shit, and y'all just going like, I knew if it would have came from like Ghostface or Royce 5'9" or somebody that we looked up to and came up off of, they would have been like, yeah, that shit was, yeah, But since it was this newer cat, I could just tell they couldn't give him that love. So I'm just like, that is just whack. So me and Parker are at a bowling alley with some friends. And I'm venting to him about the shit. I'm like, man, old niggas just be tripping sometimes. Like, when shit is actually good, they still won't. I'm like, you know what? We should make a song called Old Niggas, New Niggas. And the chorus gonna go, old niggas hate the new niggas. Word, old niggas hate the new niggas. Well, the new niggas just don't care. And I went and took my phone. I went to the corner of the bowling alley and recorded a voice memo of that shit. You can hear MC Hammer's "You Can't Touch This" playing in the background of the bowling.
Okay, check. Old niggas hate new niggas. Word. Old niggas hate new niggas. Word. Old niggas hate the new niggas. Word. New niggas just don't care. Yeah. Some with it baggy. Some, and they hate it when we second.
That's them old niggas, man, right there.
So we get facts, ironic too.
That's how it happened. So we get to the studio, and I just cook up the beat real quick, and then lay down the hook, and then we like come up with the concept. I'm like, yo, okay, I wrote my first 8 bars. I'm like, I'm gonna come from like coming up from like the early 90s and whatever. And your character perspective is going to be from the early 2000s. And then we'll have Jesse do like the late 2000s, 2010s era. You know what I'm saying? So we like, that was the concept. So I got my first 8 bars written, but I couldn't come up with anything else yet. And then Parker and Jesse both ended up finishing their verses and recording to them. So we had Old Niggas, New Niggas almost finished, but I didn't even record my verse yet. Then the first song that all of us end up on together is Get Your Lemonade, which was produced by my boy Gmo.
Get your motherfucking lemonade! Flavor by the ounce, pump a ladder, get up out of your seat and bounce.
When we heard the beat, and me and Park were like, oh shit, I just started writing my verse so far. And then I was like, yo, this is how we're going to arrange it. I'm going to go 8 bars, like me and Jordan will be together on the 16, and then you and Jesse will be together on the 16. So it's like duos. Originally, I was planning to try to get other duos on it too, like the percussions, Tanya Morgan, but it just ended up, being us. But I'll never forget when we had that part, recorded so far. And Jordan came to the studio because I hit him up like, all right, you got to come through. And Jordan sat down on the seat. We're just talking. And then all of a sudden he just stops. He's like, wait a minute. I'm having deja vu right now. Yeah, I'm supposed to be here right now.
It was. I was kind of blown too, but still at the same time, it was real. Like I had like a for real. Like everybody's been through a deja vu.
Yeah,
and it's like one of those things. It's like when you feel and you sitting in that presence in that same spot at that same exact time, and you just feel it, and you already know what it was. That's how it was when I sat down that night, and he called over and was like, yo, this is actually right when he kind of started introducing like some of y'all music to me. It was like, yo, well, I met these dudes and they're really dope. So we got this track we're gonna work on, and we'll start, you know, sending that stuff. And that was actually the first time he had sent me y'all's tracks too. And I was just like, okay, this is dope. This is actually like who we gonna be working with, and that's how it all clicked in. So that shit was crazy.
So I mean, that it just like it meant something to me when you just what you just said. Yeah, I'm supposed to be right here. I'm supposed to be here right now, because the way these songs started coming together and just everything, it was a different feeling than just like, oh, you're dope. We're from the same town. Let's make a group. Let's make some music. No, it really wasn't like, I'm like, I knew this dude, Jordan, like I've known him since childhood and no clue that he rapped, you know? And then it's just like, fast forward a year later, I meet Parker and then I don't even hear him rap until a year later. That's what I respected so much about Parker. Just knowing that he was a fan of my music and he rapped, it was interesting to me that not one time did he say, yo, let's try to collab. Let's try to, because if you know how many people are always hitting me up that I don't even know, like, yo, man, I think we'll make magic together. Let's collab.
That's exactly what I was going to say. That's some corny shit when you do that.
All the time. And not once did he say, not once. Literally, his friend had to pay for a studio session as a gift for me to finally hear it. You know? So I respect it. You ain't deserved it yet. So I respect it, not trying to force anything. It just happened. You know what I mean? So that's what felt like something real is like really forming. And so once we had those songs so far, I was like excited. That's when I knew okay, Audiopium project is forming. But I didn't know how it was going to be yet. I was still trying to bring in other producer peers to be a part of the collective and other rappers, but it just didn't happen like that. It just ended up just being this main nucleus and everything. But I remember one of my last sessions of mixing the Solomon Vaughn album at JD's, we would like sit in his living room before we'd get started sometimes to just chop it up. So we're just talking about like, all right, we're wrapping up this album. And so I was like, I'm actually starting to work on this other project with some cats that I'm really feeling, and I like it's going to be called Audiopium. And I remember JD was like, "That's a dope title, but damn, that's a statement right there. That means you're like." There can't be no filler tracks. That's got to be. I'm like, I know that's the plan. I was like, what we're coming up with so far, I feel like, I don't know. I just have a good feeling. He's like, yeah, that's dope. So basically the next month, because I released the Solomon Vaughn album in October 2013. And then iStayJammin moved to Texas. Now, Jesse is based in Virginia. You know, he's been in Virginia this whole time. We were all in Colorado.
Matter of fact, let me go ahead and say this. Yeah. While this was all happening, I was mad hating on Mike. I was jealous. I was mad. It was burning my soul. It was burning my soul, man. Everything.
He was like, man, these niggas is
I was out there in Colorado when y'all met and you signed his shit. I was like, okay.
Yeah, I remember he told me that later. I'm like, what? So he was actually living here for a little while?
Yeah, and then Mike just came home with the signature and the pictures.
He was like, well, you ain't cool.
And I was like, yo, and thinking about that too, I was like, yo, dude made this fire-ass beat in like 30 seconds. And then didn't even save the shit, just deleted it. He was just showing us something real quick. Just literally made something with keys, bass, drums, you know what I'm saying? It was super fire. And then it just was like, nope, all right, done. He called it ass.
This beat is ass. That sounds exactly like Saul shit. You know, he would definitely do some shit, make some shit in front of you and just be like, nah, fuck it, I'm gonna scrap it. You know?
Yeah, it's like, damn, man, that shit was fire.
Parker moves from Colorado to Texas to stop and save money and stack up out there, whatever, before transitioning and moving to Virginia for, you know, Yale University to be, you know, work on their projects and everything. I ain't gonna lie, dog. I was like feeling sad when you left. like, man, we were just like, coming up with all these tracks and these got moved. like my weed smoking partner gone. I'm just like,
oh man,
you know. so there's that, and plus I am also feeling discouraged after releasing the Solomon Vaughn album, and it's not getting the reaction or the, you know, whatever I thought was gonna hopefully happen. So I'm kind of like starting to deal with little hard times a little bit. And then it's the beginning of November, and I'm at the studio. Me and Janie are at the studio, and we're about to head home. We're about to leave. I'm not doing anything. I'm just sitting in the lab, whatever. And just before we're about to leave, I go to the Wurlitzer, Bonita, and I'm just noodling on there, not thinking of anything. And then the melody to At Work happens. I'm just like, wait a minute. I keep playing it. And then so I'll record a voice memo.
Okay, check. Wurlitzer. Let's try it with the vibrato up. All right. Bust it.
And then we leave from the studio, and I keep listening to that voice memo over and over all night. So by the next day, I come to the studio, and I'm like programming it, recording it. And I'm sitting here trying to think of a concept. And literally the first thing that comes to my mind is, bitch, I work at Walmart, pull your card, no Hallmark. I have.
That's what came to you.
I smoked, and that's what came to me. And I was like, I like that shit. When it builds up for the beat to drop, then I'm just like, I'm gonna make Janie rap on this shit.
Bitch, I work at Burger King. Got dough but not ordering. Busy on my telephone. Y'all can't get that whole ring.
I remember when you called me when you put together just that part. I bet you work at Walmart. And he was like, yo, I got this track, and it's gonna sound funny as hell to you, but it starts out like this, and then he comes with the line of, bitch, I work at Walmart, pull your card, no Hallmark. That's all he prefaced it with, so there was nothing else. And I'm just like, what the fuck? I was like, man, you must have been smoking some good or something. He was like,
it right there. This gonna be
I was like, man, he must have been. He got some really good piff somewhere. And he was just like, dog, you got to hear it first. It was like, I got the melody and everything. He was just like, just wait when you come through this next time. And then that's how we got into that. So yeah, my bad. I had to throw that in there because I remember he called me.
Throw in when you could throw in.
He called me right away when he started putting that shit together, and I'm just like, what kind of line is that?
That's how.
But I didn't know what it was without the beat, and until I heard it, and I was like, okay.
I think listening to like the Beatles and some other groups like that for a while kind of influenced me to not give a fuck. A lot of times, especially John Lennon, he would make songs that make no sense, and he would say it's not about anything. It's just, I'm just playing. I am the walrus. He just makes shit, and you're like, what? So I didn't question it. I just said, bitch, I work at Walmart. Pull your card to Harbor. Kept on going. This is what you call artistic shit. So then when I decided to have Janie on that shit, I'm like, yo, Janie, I'm gonna make you rap on this shit. And then she's like, okay. So I cooked this up, and I think part of it, some inspiration was when Childish Gambino had Tina Fey on his mixtape talking shit over a rap song. Wasn't rapping, just
the royalty mixtape.
Yeah. So I thought that was funny. So I just like, Janie is not a rapper. She is a singer.
It's insanity for me to worry so. I'll try not to. Will he like me?
That's what she ain't never rap like that. But Janie has attitude. You know what I'm saying? She has attitude. She got flavor. So I knew she could pull it off. The thing was, my intention wasn't for it to be like a comedy song. Like, yeah, there's this humorous like thing to shock you. Like, what the fuck? What? I did not expect the song to start with that. But there was a sincere expression of not giving a fuck. Like, you know what? I'm gonna take my girl, I'm gonna put her on here, and she's gonna sound dope. I mean, it's like you're not gonna know what to do, whether to laugh or to be like, but this is kind of hot though. It's like the beat's hot, the melody, what? So that's why that was my whole thought process, and it kind of had a double meaning. Like, there's two aspects of it. It's like, when I'm saying, bitch, I work at Walmart, I was coming from the perspective of being an artist. When you're an artist and you haven't made it big yet, most of the times people ask you what you do. You can tell them I rap, I sing, I write, I produce, blah, blah, blah. First thing they say, well, to a producer is, oh, have you worked with anybody big yet? And it's just like, they don't understand that's like one of the most disrespectful questions. I'm not going to come to you and be like, hey, where do you work at? Oh, I work over here. Like, oh, that's nice. Did you get a promotion this year? Did you get a raise?
Are you actually good at your job?
What's your benefit?
You know what I'm saying? So it's almost just like, they ask that question, or they will ask even worse, but like, oh, so but what do you do for work? As an artist, you work everywhere. Ideas can hit you while you're grocery shopping, or while you're eating somewhere, or you're playing games, or doing something. Inspiration hits you. So being an artist, it's like you're always working. And so that was the whole point. Like, I could be at Walmart and a line or melody come to my head. I'm working. So, bitch, I work at Walmart. Bitch, I work at Burger King. I work everywhere, bitch. That's the whole point of it.
In the parking lot.
Yeah, exactly. And then the other aspect is often, especially in hip hop, it's like people are put down for like being regular people that work regular jobs, Like,
oh yeah, that's
like
a big one right there, actually.
You know what I'm saying? It's just like, oh, I'm balling, blah blah blah. It's just like it was my way of just saying, you know what? Be proud of what you do to make an honest living. Don't be ashamed. Like, fuck that. Like, bitch, I work at Walmart.
that was the funny thing too, because like, yeah, definitely at the time when he did that, I was like, yo, I feel that all the day, because at the time I was a manager for a debt collection company, so I'm sitting here like. I'm sitting here working my motherfucking day job and shit. Yeah. For real, yo. I was just like, what the fuck? And then that's when I heard everything, I was like, yo, that's really a dope ass concept, because that's how the fuck I feel every day.
Right. So I sent it to Parker. We're on Skype. We're always on Skype. What was your first impression, Parker?
Oh, I was like, yo, this is crazy. Like, we're going to do these like rapping about Walmart. But yeah, it was like, once some drums start hitting, I'm like, okay. All right, I can see where he going with this. Like, I didn't want to say I worked at Noodles and Company, but you know what I'm saying?
I work at Noodles though, bitch. Make a pesto perfecto. Let's go to the studio, bitch.
And I was in between jobs at the time, and Jesse already had said he was a no job.
I'd already said I didn't have it.
Bitch, I ain't even got a job, but they ain't got no food either.
Your university unemployed.
Oh man.
But yeah, it worked though. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna switch up the way I start off my joint a bit.
Dude, I loved it. I remember when Iowa University sent me their vocals, and I was at home, and me and Janie heard it, and she was like, that sounds cool. That's dope.
You actually had the idea for me to go first and Jesse to be the second.
That's what I originally, but y'all did a reverse, and then it's just like, it was perfect. Like, it just, I do remember that. So y'all did a reverse. I was like, okay, this is dope. And then, so when I got to Jordan, I already had the game plan. I was like, Jordan, this is going to be your scenario moment. We have these short, more just hooky parts. You're going to have a 16-bar verse. You ain't singing the hook. You just going to go in. I want you to think Busta Rhymes' scenario. This is you. Like, this is open for you. Just murk that shit.
Bitch, don't quit your day job. To get here, y'all are ways off. All my niggas, we get promoted, and y'all niggas get laid off.
But at home too, though.
Yo, I was actually super nervous though.
Bitch, don't quit your day job.
Yeah, I was super nervous. Exactly. When it was like, I was like, how do I even start this? Because it was like, Jesse, come on, bitch, I ain't even got a job. The way Parker came in, everybody came in super hard. I was actually mad nervous. Like, I was super nervous because I didn't know. I was like, man, I know I got to come with the fire verse. And that's honestly what happens when you get a bunch of dope people on one thing, though. It's like you really push everybody's boundaries. Right. So I was like, I at least I got lucky enough to hear everybody else's kind of like finished pieces. So then I could actually be like, okay, they want me to come in here and like just try to swing for the fences, then I can really do it and I can play off of everybody else's stuff. And so that's what I end up doing is I try to take bits and pieces of what I was hearing from everybody else and kind of incorporate it all together and then talk about my job too. And, talking about debt collecting and shit. And, you gotta pay up.
I love that the bill collector.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Answering all of our phone calls. Says your number's disconnected. Once he had that done, I had the whole song. And then I go to JD. Normally, I don't go to it until I got most of the album. I was like, I'm getting this song mixed. I went the whole thing. Went to JD's studio. And then he mixed it. He liked it. And it kept just growing on him more. He kept mixing like, yo, this shit is dope. This shit is dope. And then I still have his text message. He texted me like later that night. He's like, dude, how good does that mix sound? I think it's on fucking point as fuck.
Especially for how he talks too.
And JD.
Yeah.
So I was just like, yeah, man, it's perfect. He said, I think this is a great track. I'd put it in my top 5 of your songs for sure. Good work. Based on after he had said, if you're going to make some Audiopium, it's got to be, ugh. So this is the first I had him. So he's already like, okay, this is off to a good start. Then after Outwork happens, there's kind of like a little gap. The next song didn't even end up happening till March 2014. So it had already been a few months since Outwork. And that happened to be Stay Fresh, PG-13.
Stay Fresh.
We did a show at South by Southwest. Me and Janie took a road trip out there. Parker was living in Dallas already, so he rode to Austin. We performed just our parts of Outwork at the end of my set. The picture that we have of that show is a lot more glamorous looking than it really was. Like, the picture looks dope. Like, it was some legit shit. But no, we were at some barbecue pit. Like, everybody left. It like hardly anybody's paying attention to us, And so rode back home. I was just exhausted from some other trips I had. During this time, there's 2 things I was always watching when I was going to bed. Either Class Act or Purple Rain. Those are the 2 movies that I would always watch while going to sleep. So I'm high one night, going to sleep. Class Act is on. And Class Act is one of my favorite movies coming up with Kid and Play. It's like a hip hop Prince and a Pauper and everything. There's the characters Blade Brown and Duncan Penderhughes. So they have to portray each other. Blade Brown is always saying Penderhughes wrong. So there's this scene where he comes out and he say, "It's me, Duncan Pincushion." That part just always cracks me up. It's Duncan Pincushion. I'm sitting there like, just Duncan Pincushion. And then literally it's like, me, Duncan Pincushion, find me on the internet. I get up and I just start writing these lyrics down. And I couldn't think of another rhyme for pincushion. So I wrote that. I'm like, ran out of rhymes for pincushion. Better if I rhyme pincushion, no one would listen. I was like, fuck it. I'm going to make fuck it rhyme with secret and bleep it. Yeah, I'm going to use the censor beat on that shit. And I get to the studio the next day and I make this beat, which I kind of called Mile High Drive. It's basically when I would just use just the kick drum, no other percussions, just to drive the rhythm of the track. So I did that with, Blade Brown, Haterade, and I was doing that with Stay Fresh. So I make that, and it was partly inspired by, like, even the way I was rapping, it's like, what I was saying, it was like partly inspired by like Timbaland and Magoo and their whole crew, because they wouldn't give a fuck. They didn't take themselves too seriously, like Missy,
especially Magoo.
Exactly. And Missy, all of them. So it just kind of drew some inspiration of it. So that's why I kind of had that like that's just some Timbaland inspiration, but it's, you know, its own thing. So I end up like bleeping the cuss words and whatever, in which, you know, Parker ends up recording his verse too and stuff. And then I call it PG-13 because in a PG-13 movie, they allow one F-bomb, only one. So that's why with Sammy, I wrote her part at the end and I leave her F-bomb uncensored. So it's just like, that's why I called it PG-13. I'm just being stupid. But
I feel like I like the way that one like hit with the actual unedited fuck it at the, or whatever. I forget. How does it, what is it?
Change it what the fuck for.
Yeah, change it what the fuck. Yeah. That last fuck, I feel like it's like perfect because it's just like it hits that much harder because the whole rest of the song, there's no fucks to it. You know?
Hella bleeps through the whole thing.
But I like the bleeps though.
Yeah, me too.
I'm a fan of censor beeps. Sometimes censor beeps are funnier than the actual words. Not all the time, but depending on what's being said and whatnot, censor beeps make it hilarious. So I was just like, who uses censor beeps in their songs? And then, you know, Parker did his verse and just the way he rolled that, like, that's when you started doing, you like having delays in your verse, like you giving it space.
Yeah, that was the first one. I think
that was the first.
Flow fresher than a lemonade, don't need pleasure while lights off. I'm Novocaine, y'all drugs, mic dog, bleep that.
So what inspired you to do that?
I don't even know how, like, it came to me. I was just, you know, I was just writing. I just felt like I didn't want to like fill the space. It just like randomly just like popped in my head that I just kind of wanted to let it sit.
Yeah.
Echo a bit.
I thought it was so dope, which also leads to something later. And that happened because it was just like, yeah, when you did that, I was like, yo, that's dope. So collective size I know happens like somewhere in that range because Parker got the beat before he moved. Because I was going through some of my sessions and stuff like that. And I was like, what beat is this? I played it. And Parker was like, you ain't doing nothing to it? I'm like, so I gave it to him, thought nothing of it. And I get a text message, a video text message from Parker with like, it's just the video is just facing his laptop playing his verse I just laid to that beat.
No fair play and love the war. And believe me, this war, you're gonna need more than a 6-shooter to score. I got heat.
What I'm listening, like, I have not heard him flow like this before. Like his delivery sounded a little different. Like he sounded even more confident. Like I was just like, damn, this shit. This is
and I was mad as shit that you sent him that beat because I still have this, you know, too.
You got a verse to that joint?
Well,
I don't got a verse.
I actually thought everybody, at first I thought everybody was going to be on there though. Like I thought it was going to be like an actual like intro.
It was initially.
That was the plan. Yeah. That was the plan.
Yeah.
But then I was like,
changed.
when I heard you on it, I said, I don't even want to be on it. When I heard you on it, I was like, I don't even want to be on it. I was like, it's just dope. I don't know.
So there was that. And then April 2014. Now, this is basically when me and Janie are getting evicted from the studio.
Yeah.
Because it's real shit.
Why you gotta put my name in?
It's real shit. Really, the side note, during this whole process of working on this album, I was broke. I wasn't able to pay rent for months on the studio, but luckily it kept on getting passed on and not even, we got through like almost a year without anything, like ever even getting the notice. But somehow the property management got changed and switched over. So I approached the new property management and they was like, we have no records of anything. We don't have anything. So it's like, so technically you're just behind this month. So that's what I was like, okay. So I just paid that month, but I wasn't able to pay the remaining months that year. So come April, we're about to get evicted because he called me. It was like, so what's going on? I'm like, man, I'm sorry. We just don't have it. But we were planning to move out of the studio soon anyway, because we were trying to move to Los Angeles. We had a prospect of possibly moving out there by the summer. And that was just like that point, like, okay, well, we're going to have to leave. So we paid a little bit to just stay the rest of that month in April and move out on the 1st of May. The last couple weeks just became clutch time. Ideas were pouring. The Colo got formed, which I had that idea for a while, just having a colo, and then some beat to it. But when I was trying to make the beat, I was trying to make it sound all hard and, like aggressive. And then JD was in the studio with me. She's like, but that's not the vibe of Colorado. And that's not your vibe either. Like, I was like, you're right. I'm like, but how am I going to make this not sound hard, but it not be corny or cheesy? Like, so I'm just messing with it. And I finally figure out the melody for it. And it just works. I get that. I called Jordan. I already knew I wanted him to open it. So I just recorded my verse on the second part and sent it to him. And we'll get to when your verse got in. Because we didn't hear it until we were all in Dallas together. So I make that. I ended up making Better Go Tell Somebody and came up with the chorus, my verse, and we'll come back to how that got finished later. Then came the last track I made literally the day before we had to move out the studio. We were already packing up everything, was I Grew a New One On. Back when we were shooting like Boon Documented in 2012, like doing all that stuff, there's this whole unreleased footage where me and Janie are just at the desk and she's talking to me, trying to convince me to start rapping again.
Please rap again.
I really don't know what to do. Hence why me and Jordan's album has been so postponed.
I just don't want to see you not rap because you're really, really talented at it. I would not be telling you that if you sucked. Or if you were kind of good but still kind of sucked. If you sucked, I'd just be like, keep producing.
She just kept egging me on about it.
The only reason why you started producing was so you can make your own beats for your rapping. Think about that. Boom!
And then she's like, I grew a new one on.
I grew a new one on. I grew a new one on.
I Grew a New One On was a song I made back in 2007. Like back in the day. It was like an old boom bap track. And so she was bringing up that song.
Something you could feel, shit. Duh, 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 duh. I grew a new one on.
So I'm watching this old footage. And at the end of her bugging me about it, she just one more time says,
I grew a new one on. I mean, who says that?
Me.
Exactly.
I'm like, I want to try maybe remaking a new concept of it. And I come up with the chords. Basically what inspires the subject is, how you could be like, have a relationship with some girl or whatever. And she keeps playing you to the left. She messes with you, but won't commit. Like she's yeah. By the time you end up in a happy relationship and moved on, they end up coming back trying to flirt and trying to and I've been through that several times. Literally, right after we got engaged, this girl who kept playing me to the left messages me. It's like, oh, congratulations! Can I sing at your wedding? Like, bitch.
Oh.
Like you don't even sing. But even before we got engaged, she would text me and trying to be flirting. I'm just like, nope. So that gave me the inspiration. I write the first verse and I make a video of it on my phone.
All right, here we go. Sometimes after you've been heartbroken, you move on and find happiness. And once you find happiness, the one that broke your heart seems to try to come back and just try to get up on it. But you know, this is what I tell him. I grew a new one now.
So get off the D.
Get off the D. That's right, I grew a new one now.
So get off the D.
Get off the D. Come on, I grew a new one now.
So get off the D.
That's right, I grew a new one now.
So get off the D.
Get off the D. Time passed by. Now I'm on the come up, bitch. You thought it was a lie. Now you wanna run up with your voice all high, trying to say hi like we used to be close. Bitch, you used to treat me like a slice of wheat toast. Left me out to dry. That's all I got so far.
Another little key ingredient to I grew a new one on, because you know it says get off the D. When I was trying to come up with a melody to get off the D, I didn't know what melody what note I was gonna sing. So I was like, wait, well, I'm saying get off the D. Let me go to the D key. And I hit the D key, and I was like, get off the. I'm like, oh. And then when it goes to get off the D, it goes to E. So literally, it gets off the D musically. That's my little secret.
To the E.
It literally is getting off the D in the melody too.
Yeah.
Hey, that's how you get a plug right there.
In the lab for the last few hours. As you can see, all the foam is taken down out of the room and just about to wrap up in here. I'm just gonna record one extra little thing for a take on I grew a new one on, and maybe add a couple sounds or something. And this is it for here. So yeah.